She was gone long before you felt it. Not hours before, months before, not days before, weeks before you noticed, not recently before, long ago before you realized. Gap between her leaving and you feeling it, between departure happening and you recognizing it, between ending occurring and you understanding it. This gap is where confusion lives, where shock generates, where I didn't see it coming originates. You didn't see it coming because it came months ago and you're only feeling it now. Didn't recognize ending because ending happened long before you noticed. Didn't understand departure because departure occurred before awareness arrived. This is delayed recognition, is consciousness lag, is awareness delay. And delay isn't your fault, isn't your blindness, isn't your stupidity. Delay is structural, is how human awareness works, is how consciousness processes loss. Awareness lags behind reality. Consciousness trails actual events. Recognition arrives after occurrences. By time you feel loss, loss already happened. By time you recognize ending, ending already occurred. By time you understand departure, departure already completed. And completion before recognition creates specific experience, generates particular pain, produces distinct confusion. You're grieving something that already finished, processing something that already concluded, understanding something that already happened. Present tense grief for past tense event, current consciousness for previous occurrence, now awareness for then reality. This creates replay, creates mental return to moment you didn't recognize, creates psychological review of time you didn't understand, creates obsessive analysis of period you didn't see. You replay conversations looking for signs you missed, review interactions searching for clues you didn't catch, analyze moments hunting for signals you didn't recognize. And signs were there, clues existed, signals appeared, but you didn't see them then, didn't catch them during, didn't recognize them when they happened. You see them now, catch them in retrospect, recognize them in replay, but now is too late. Retrospect is after departure, replay is post-ending. Why awareness lags? Why consciousness delays? Why recognition arrives late? Why you didn't feel it when it was happening? This is consciousness structure, is how awareness operates, is how human perception works. Consciousness processes present based on past patterns. Awareness interprets now through then frameworks. Recognition identifies current through previous templates. When relationship is stable, consciousness expects stability. When connection is secure, awareness assumes security. When presence is normal, recognition presumes normalcy. Expectations, assumptions, presumptions. These shape what consciousness sees, what awareness notices, what recognition identifies. If consciousness expects stability, it doesn't see instability signals. If awareness assumes security, it doesn't notice insecurity indicators. If recognition presumes normalcy, it doesn't identify abnormality markers. This is why you didn't see her leaving. Consciousness was expecting staying. Why you didn't notice her departing. Awareness was assuming remaining. Why you didn't recognize her going. Perception was presuming presence. Expectation blinds to contradiction. Assumption blocks opposing signals. Presumption prevents contrary recognition. She was showing departure while you were seeing presence, was demonstrating leaving while you were perceiving staying, was indicating going while you are recognizing remaining. Not because you're stupid, because consciousness lags. Not because you're blind, because awareness delays. Not because you're oblivious, because recognition requires pattern breaks strong enough to override expectations, and there's specific threshold for pattern break, specific intensity required for expectation override, specific strength needed for assumption disruption. Small signals don't break patterns. Subtle indicators don't override expectations. Minor changes don't disrupt assumptions. She becomes slightly more distant. Consciousness interprets as mood, slightly less engaged. Awareness reads as stress, slightly more separate. Recognition sees as temporary phase. Each small change gets interpreted through existing framework. Each subtle shift gets explained by current template. Each minor difference gets absorbed into previous pattern. This is why small departures don't register, why gradual leaving doesn't compute, My slow going doesn't recognize. Consciousness requires dramatic break to recognize pattern change. Awareness needs significant disruption to override expectations. Perception demands obvious contradiction to update assumptions. And dramatic break comes late. Significant disruption arrives after process advanced. Obvious contradiction appears when departure is far along. By time break is dramatic enough to register, she's already substantially gone. By time disruption is significant enough to notice she's already mostly departed. By time contradiction is obvious enough to recognize she's already largely left. This is lag, is delay, is late recognition. You're recognizing at 70% departure what started at 0%. Noticing at 80% gone what began at fully present. Understanding at 90% left what initiated it completely there. And recognizing late creates specific pain, unique torture, particular anguish. Pain of knowing it was happening, while you didn't know it was happening. Torture of understanding she was leaving, while you thought she was staying. Anguish of recognizing departure occurred while you perceived presence. This creates replay compulsion, creates mental return obsession, creates psychological review addiction. You replay moment after moment searching for what you missed. Review interaction after interaction hunting for what you didn't see. Analyze conversation after conversation looking for what you didn't catch. And in replay, you see everything. In review, you catch all signals. In analysis, you recognize every indicator. That comment she made 3 months ago that seemed innocent was departure signal. That behavior change 2 months ago that seemed temporary was leaving indicator. That distance you felt month ago that seemed like stress was going marker. In retrospect, everything is obvious. In replay, all signals are clear. In review, every indicator is apparent, but retrospect is worthless. Replay changes nothing. Review reverses nothing. Seeing signals now doesn't restore relationship. Catching indicators in replay doesn't prevent departure. Recognizing markers in review doesn't reverse leaving. You're seeing what was while experiencing what is. Catching what happened while living what resulted. Recognizing what occurred while dealing with what followed. And this creates particular torture, specific pain pattern, unique suffering structure. You know it was happening. You know you didn't know it was happening. You know you could have known if you'd recognized signals. You know recognizing wouldn't have changed outcome. Knowledge that doesn't help. Awareness that doesn't prevent. Recognition that doesn't reverse. This is consciousness arriving late. Is awareness coming after fact? Is recognition appearing post-event? And late consciousness is painful consciousness. Delayed awareness is torturous awareness. Post-event recognition is agonizing recognition. Better to not know what you missed than to know what you missed and know missing. It didn't matter. Better to not see signals in retrospect than to see them and know. Seeing them wouldn't have changed anything. Better to not recognize in replay than to recognize and understand recognition. Wouldn't have prevented departure, but consciousness won't allow not knowing. Awareness won't permit not seeing. Recognition won't enable not understanding. Mind replays, consciousness reviews, awareness analyzes. Compulsively, obsessively, addictively. Searching for moment you could have known. Hunting for time you should have seen. Seeking instance you might have recognized. And mind finds moments. Consciousness locates times. Awareness identifies instances. Here's where you could have known. There's when you should have seen. That's the instance you might have recognized. But finding moment doesn't help. Locating time doesn't reverse. Identifying instance doesn't restore. You're discovering what was knowable while living what became actual. Finding what was seeable while experiencing what became real. Identifying what was recognizable while dealing with what became inevitable. And there's specific timeline to delayed recognition. Specific stages through which awareness arrives. Specific process by which consciousness catches up to reality. First stage is vague unease, where something feels wrong, but you can't identify what. Where discomfort exists, but source is unclear. Where tension is present, but cause is unknown. Vague unease is consciousness beginning to detect pattern break. Is awareness starting to notice expectation violation? Is recognition initiating contradiction identification? But detection is weak. Notice is unclear. Identification is vague. Something's off. Something's different. Something's changed. But what is off? What is different? What changed? Consciousness can't specify. Awareness can't clarify. Recognition can't identify. Vague unease is dismissed, is explained away, is rationalized. She's stressed. She's tired. She's busy. She's distracted. She's going through something. Every rationalization delays recognition further. Every explanation postpones awareness longer. Every dismissal extends consciousness lag. Second stage is specific discomfort, where something wrong becomes identifiable, where unease attaches to particular behaviors, where tension connects to specific changes. She's more distant, less engaged, more separate, less connected, more absent, less present. Specific observations, identifiable changes, particular differences, but observations are still interpreted through old framework. Changes are still explained by existing template. Differences are still absorbed into previous pattern. Temporary distance, passing disengagement, brief separation, momentary disconnection, short absence, temporary less presence, temporary, passing, brief, momentary, short. All these words maintain expectation of return, preserve assumption of resumption, protect presumption of restoration. She's temporarily distant implies she returned to close. Passing disengagement suggests she resume engagement. Brief separation indicates she restore connection. Language maintains expectation. Words preserve assumption. Phrasing protects presumption. And maintained expectation delays recognition. Preserved assumption postpones awareness. Protected presumption extends consciousness lag. Third stage is pattern recognition, where temporary becomes persistent, where brief becomes extended, where passing becomes permanent. She's been distant for weeks now, disengaged for a month now, separate for months now. Temporal extension breaks temporary framework. Duration disrupts brief assumption. Persistence violates passing expectation. This forces framework update, demands assumption revision, requires expectation adjustment. Not temporary, persistent, not brief, extended, not passing, permanent. But even framework update doesn't immediately reveal full truth. Assumption revision doesn't instantly expose complete reality. Expectation adjustment doesn't immediately unmask total situation. She's persistently distant is recognized, but she's leaving isn't yet concluded. She's extended in disengagement is noticed, but she's departing isn't yet understood. She's permanently separate is observed, but she's gone isn't yet realized. Recognition progresses through stages. Awareness advances through levels. Consciousness moves through tiers. Stage 3 recognizes change, doesn't yet understand meaning, notices difference, doesn't yet comprehend significance, observes pattern, doesn't yet grasp implication. Fourth stage is meaning recognition, where change understanding arrives, where difference significance registers, where pattern implication clarifies. Persistent distance means she's withdrawing. Extended disengagement means she's departing. Permanent separation means she's leaving. This is consciousness catching up to reality, is awareness arriving at truth, is recognition reaching actuality. But arriving at truth isn't arriving at full truth. Reaching actuality isn't reaching complete actuality. She's leaving is recognized, but she already left isn't yet understood. She's departing is noticed, but she already departed isn't yet realized. She's withdrawing is observed, but she already withdrew isn't yet comprehended. Present tense recognition for past tense reality. Current understanding for previous event. Now consciousness for then occurrence. Fifth stage is temporal recognition, where present tense updates to past tense, where leaving becomes left, where departing becomes departed, where withdrawing becomes withdrew. She already left. She didn't just start leaving. She already departed. She didn't just begin departing. She already withdrew. She didn't just commence withdrawing. This is full recognition, is complete awareness, is total consciousness. And full recognition is devastating recognition. Complete awareness is crushing awareness. Total consciousness is destroying consciousness. Not only is she leaving, she already left. Not only is relationship ending, relationship already ended. Not only is connection breaking, connection already broke. You're late, you're behind, you're delayed. She's at destination while you're still at origin. She's at conclusion while you're still at beginning. She's at after while you're still at during. And being behind creates catch-up compulsion, creates rushing through stages, creates accelerated processing. You're trying to catch up emotionally to where she is temporally, trying to reach in hours where she arrived over months, trying to achieve in days what she processed over weeks. Impossible catch-up, unachievable rushing, unfeasible acceleration. Can't compress months into hours, can't condense weeks into days, can't accelerate time-based process into time-eliminated sprint. This is why you feel so behind, why you're so confused, why you can't keep up. You're months behind in process, weeks behind in recognition, days behind in understanding. She processed this 3 months ago. You're processing it now. She understood this 2 months ago. You're understanding it now. She felt this month ago. You're feeling it now. Timeline gap, temporal separation, chronological distance. And gap is painful. Separation is torturous. Distance is agonizing. You want to be where she is? Want to feel what she feels? Want to understand what she understands? She's done. You're beginning. She's past it. You're entering it. She's over it. You're under it. Being under while she's over is particular pain, is specific torture, is unique anguish. And there's specific things you search for in replay, specific moments you hunt for in review, specific signals you seek in analysis. First, you search for decision moment. For instance, she decided to leave. For time she concluded relationship would end. When did she decide? What moment? What triggered decision? What caused conclusion? Mind obsesses over decision moment because decision moment is origin, is beginning, is start of departure you didn't recognize. If you can identify decision moment, you can understand timeline, can map delay, can measure lag between her decision and your recognition. 3 months between her decision and your awareness. 2 months between her conclusion and your understanding. Month between her determining and your realizing. Mapping delay helps somehow. Measuring lag provides something. Identifying gap gives weird comfort. Comfort of knowing when it started, even though knowing doesn't change anything. Comfort of understanding timeline, even though understanding doesn't reverse anything. Comfort of measuring gap, even though measuring doesn't close anything. Second, you search for signs you missed, for signals you didn't catch, for indicators you didn't recognize. What did she say that revealed departure? What did she do that indicated leaving? What changed that showed going? In replay, every comment becomes signal. Every behavior becomes indicator. Every change becomes sign. That time she didn't text back immediately was sign. That moment she seemed distracted was indicator. That instance she was less affectionate was signal. Retrospective interpretation finds significance everywhere. Replay recognition sees meaning in everything. Review awareness identifies indication in all moments, but finding signs in retrospect doesn't help. Seeing signals in replay doesn't reverse. Recognizing indicators in review doesn't restore. You're seeing what you missed, while missing what you see doesn't matter. Recognizing what you didn't catch, while not catching that recognition is worthless. Third, you search for prevention moment. For instance, you could have stopped departure, for time intervention would have worked. Could you have prevented this? Was there moment intervention would have worked? Was there time recognition would have changed outcome? And mind wants to believe prevention was possible. Consciousness desires to think intervention would have worked. Awareness wishes to imagine recognition would have changed outcome, because prevention possibility means departure wasn't inevitable. Intervention efficacy means leaving was stoppable. Recognition impact means going was reversible, but departure was inevitable once she decided. Leaving was unstoppable once she concluded. Going was irreversible once she determined. Your recognition wouldn't have changed her decision. Your awareness wouldn't have altered her conclusion. Your understanding wouldn't have reversed her determination. She decided to leave. She was going to leave. She did leave. Your earlier recognition wouldn't have prevented departure. Your sooner awareness wouldn't have stopped leaving. Your faster understanding wouldn't have reversed going, because her leaving wasn't about your recognition. Her departure wasn't contingent on your awareness. Her going wasn't dependent on your understanding. Her leaving was about her decision. Her departure was about her conclusion. Her going was about her determination. And her decisions are hers, her conclusions are hers, her determinations are hers. Because recognizing indicators wouldn't have prevented her departure, not because. You didn't understand signs, because understanding signs wouldn't have reversed her going. She was gone because she decided to be gone, was departed because she concluded to depart, was left because she determined to leave. And your recognition lag, your awareness delay, your consciousness late arrival, these don't change her timeline. These don't affect her process. These don't alter her departure. These only change your experience. Only affect your timeline. Only alter your process. You experienced relationship presence, while she experienced relationship departure. You lived connection continuing, while she processed connection ending. You perceived staying, while she executed leaving. Different timelines, different experiences, different realities. Hers was real. Yours was lagged consciousness of real. Hers was actual. Yours was delayed awareness of actual. Hers was present. Yours was late recognition of present. She was gone long before you felt it. And feeling it late doesn't change that she was gone. Recognizing it delayed doesn't alter that departure happened. Understanding it after doesn't reverse that leaving occurred. She was gone. She is gone. She will be gone. And you felt it late, recognized it delayed, understood it after. But late feeling doesn't change timeline. Delayed recognition doesn't reverse reality. After understanding doesn't restore what was. She was gone long before you felt it. And feeling it now changes nothing about her being gone then.